Today we're going to look at some geology that you can see if you're being a tourist in Santiago, Chile, quite easily accessible to some of the main other sites. First, we'll take a zoomed out look, and what we have is Eocene volcanics uh, on the east and more Jurassic aged volcanics on the west. And as we zoom in, we're going to look at Santa Lucia Park, and as I mentioned, this is quite close to a lot of the city center attractions like the Plaza de Armas and some of the museums in the area and so forth. And it's also a great place to see some views of the city. As we zoom in, we can, there's a nice fountain at the beginning and you can do a hike up to the top. And what this was once a defensive edifice in the city, and it's actually the guts of an ancient volcano. And as we zoom in a little bit closer, it's along this edge as you hike up that you can see some beautiful columnar basalts. We'll take a closer look at that now.
One of the main reasons to visit Santa Lucia Park is the views. As we can see that this is a really good place to see nice views of Santiago without going that far. But in addition to the views and the architecture that you can see, this is a really good location to see some geology that made this high point in the center of Santiago. And on the way up to the lookout, uh, we see some really nice columnar basalts, or andesites as the case may be. And this is a nice outcrop amongst the flowers, and it's easily accessible on the trip up. And one of the interesting things with this type of formation, even though in addition to it looking pretty cool, is that this is formed due to rapid cooling, but not too rapid cooling. So it's not forming a complete glass like the basalt that you see in Hawaii, but it's kind of from a pool of magma that forms under this outer crust that cools and fractures in this columnar pattern. This is pretty. There's lots of pretty famous sites where we see similar things. Giant's Causeway is probably the most famous in Ireland, but lots of other places have it as well. We can see it in rhyolite, where it's actually bent in places in Hong Kong, as well as much of the island of Tasmania in Australia is covered with columnar basalts. But this is one great place you can go see this type of outcrop right down in downtown Santiago while you're doing the rest of your sightseeing. Next, we'll have a closer look. So this is an image from AGU, and it shows how columnar jointing works. So as the magma cools, it's going to contract, and this is because solids tend to be smaller than the liquids they form from. And what this does is means that there's going to be parts of weakness because not all of or the different areas are going to generally contract at the same rate, so they're going to pull away from each other. This makes a plane of weakness, which makes this hexagonal form that we see as the column. And this eventually will lead to a fracture that makes the columnar jointing, that makes these interesting formations that are columnar basalts or andesites. And here again are some of the columns that we saw. Um, and you can see the clear hexagonal fracture, and that's due again to the cooling and the solid being smaller than the liquid, and it pulls away and makes these hexagonal fractures. Now, this is one of just many different geological formations in the area around Santiago. I didn't have that much time to go see too many things around Santiago, so if there's things to catch next time, please put it in the comments, and I'll try and be there when I'm back next year.